Welcome back to how to create a Zoom webinar that sells. This is the final video of my series where I'll talk about following up and what to do after your webinar. As someone who's been doing webinars for years, I can tell you that we have often made as many or even more sales after the webinar than we did on the webinar itself. Now, I know that there are some people out there that say, do not record your webinar, make people show up. But in my experience, that is leaving money and clients on the table. And maybe my audience is a little different than yours. I have an audience of people who are very busy. Most of them are very successful. They already have a lot going on. And maybe they can't be on my webinar exactly at the time that I scheduled it. And so for those people, I give them the benefit of the doubt and I make sure that I have a follow-up sequence that honors them and that gives them the opportunity to not only get the value of my webinar, but also to see and potentially act on the offer that I'm making. So what we're looking at is what your post-webinar follow-up sequences look like. And I say sequences because you may want to create more than one. Think about it. There are different audiences here. There's people that you promoted the webinar to on your list, for example, that didn't register. You promoted it to them, they didn't sign up for whatever reason. Maybe they knew they weren't going to be available, so they thought, I'm not going to sign up for it. Then you've got people who registered for your webinar and attended, but didn't buy anything. And then you have your people that registered and had every intention of showing up and then didn't show up for whatever reason. Maybe they forgot about it, maybe something came up. You may want to treat these people differently and have a different follow-up sequence. The primary list that I would focus on, the most important people I would say, would be those who registered and didn't attend. Those people had an intention, something about what you were offering was interesting to them, and for whatever reason they didn't show up. So I would recommend starting with that group of people and creating a follow-up sequence designed to get them to watch the recording. So what that could look like is maybe 3 or 4 or even 5 emails that go to those people who didn't attend. Now, the way that you can determine that is by having your host keep a list of everybody who showed up and comparing that list with the people who registered. You would take everybody who attended off of the list of the people who registered and create an email sequence that invites them to watch the webinar. Now, the way we do this is the very first email says, wow, the webinar was amazing. We're so sorry you couldn't make it. Something probably came up. Here's a link to watch the recording. It'll be up for a little bit of time. And we put the deadline there. Boom, we have a link to the recording that we've got up in Vimeo or YouTube as a private video so people can watch that. And actually, we put that video into a template page on our site. So you can do that as well. If you want to go the extra mile, create a page that looks much like your registration page and drop your video into there. By the way, I just want to pause for a moment and ask for you to please like this video, subscribe to my channel. YouTube loves it when they know that you like my videos, and it helps me get more audience to watch my videos. The second email we send is often one particular case study or one particular element that we pull from the webinar and we talk about it in more depth. And then the third email is just one more email encouraging them to watch it. We might include quotes from the chat, things that people said, so-and-so said this was the best webinar they've ever been to. We don't fake it, we don't lie, we actually pull real quotes, and that's why I recommend saving that chat from your webinar. So basically we create a little email sequence that reminds them, hey, this is going to be up for a limited amount of time. We create a sequence that reminds them that the recording will be up for a limited amount of time and they really want to act on it before it's gone forever. So that's one group. Another group of people that you might want to send that same or a similar sequence to is the people who attended and didn't buy, encouraging them to try to watch it again. Hey, I'm not sure if you watched the whole thing. We saw that you were there at the beginning, but just in case, I made a really special offer to everyone who was watching the webinar. Since you registered, I want to make sure you have an opportunity to get that offer. And that would be for anybody who attended and didn't buy, or anybody who popped off of the webinar early. And then you'll want to maybe create a sequence. This is a little less important to the people that never registered in the first place. You know, maybe they missed it in their email, maybe they were out of town or whatever, but I would send 1, maybe 2 emails to your entire list that says, hey, you know, you may not have known, or you may have seen that we had a webinar the other day. It was really popular. I had a great attendance. People got so much value out of it. Here's the recording if you want to watch it. It's going to be up for a couple more days. So really paying attention to your follow-up can double the sales that you make on your webinar. You know, it's reasonable to assume that not everybody who's interested in your product and service has the time available to watch the webinar in the exact moment that you delivered it. I hope you've enjoyed my mini course on how to create webinars that sell. If you found this helpful and you're curious about what it looks like to work together, please connect with me. You can find out more at superstaractivator.com/go.